plane.
My most favorite thing during our third week of staying in South Korea was most definitely baptizing my two oldest kids.
My favorite activity during our third week here in South Korea was definitely our twins' baptism. It had been an activity we'd been looking forward to and we'd been planning for over a year, and it met all of our expectations. It was absolutely wonderful.
My favorite thing in week 3 Korea was me and Widmore's baptism. It was my favorite because I was really excited at the start and I was joyful at the end. My favorite thing we did in week 3 of being in Korea was my baptism. It was my favorite because the water was soft, and after I went out, I felt warm and happy.
My favorite thing was getting a new tooth.
Are you ready to learn all about week 3 in Korea?
All right, so first things first, we just want to wish all you dads out there, dads-to-be, all you young boys who want to be dads, happy Father's Day. An interesting thing to note that in Korea, they do not celebrate Father's Day. They celebrate Parents' Day, so it's a unified holiday on May 8th, and it's not a public holiday, so it's just kind of celebrated, at home with your families. But we definitely did celebrate over here our U.S. version as best as we could with our Korean resources. So happy Father's Day. Well, we are exhausted. It is now podcast number 13. We are wrapping up our third week here in South Korea, and it has been a whirlwind of tons of fun activities that we wanted to accomplish before Gabriel started teaching for the semester, and we are tired.
Oh, look at these bags under these eyes. Yeah, it's 3 weeks of being incredibly busy.
Well, first we had jet lag, 17 hours traveling, jet lag, time difference, and then trying to fit everything we wanted to do in. So
yeah, this is the longest we've ever been in one place, and so we've just been running crazy.
Well, not yet. I mean, it'll eventually be the longest.
Yeah.
Okay, so the longest we have stayed somewhere has been about 5 weeks, and this will be much closer to about 11 to 12.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so not a lot of sleep. We're traveling with a 6-month-old. She's starting to teethe, and so she's not sleeping that well during the night, and therefore, Catherine isn't. So anyway, we wanted to recap what we did for our third week and chat about that.
So the biggest thing we did this week in week 3 was we are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and within our faith, we baptize our children at the age of 8 if they choose to be baptized and become members of the church. And so that is what we did, and we'd been looking forward to this since they turned 7, knowing that it was going to be coming up. And of course, we had molasses coming, and that took a huge chunk of the year. And then after she came, it was Christmas, and then the new year started, and I told myself I was going to take all this time to plan it, and then just kind of snuck up on us. But when we found out we were going to come to South Korea, we talked to the twins, and we decided that we thought it would be really fun to have them be baptized in South Korea.
Yeah, so we decided to have the twins baptized in South Korea, partly because we were getting ready for this trip, and their baptism would have been a couple weeks before we left anyway, and we figured, why not make it a little bit more memorable, right? And so we knew that we were going to be staying at a local branch, going to church each week here, and so we thought, what better way to be initiated into this new area that we're going to live in and really get to know the people than to have their baptism here. And so that's what we decided to do. We had a full support from our congregation back home, and definitely full support here.
Yeah.
Like it was fantastic.
So we decided not to bring anything from home. There were some special baptism gifts I wanted to get the twins, but I didn't want to bring them here and have to take them back and forth. So we just decided to get everything here. We wanted to get them clothing here. We wanted to incorporate as much of the local culture as we could, knowing full well that we are not Korean. So we wanted to kind of find this balance of having a ceremony that was near and dear to our faith, but also incorporating the fact that we were in Korea. So we talked about last week, we went in search of some baptism clothes. We found them here, and we were hoping to have maybe some Korean music, but that didn't quite pan out. But we had a small service. One of the members of the ward brought the twins a bunch of traditional Korean gifts, which was super fun for them, and super traditional. That happened the day before. And then the day of the big event went off surprisingly better than I kind of thought it was.
Oh, it was beautiful. One of the things I think we should mention too is we came into this, coming to Korea having no idea what kind of a ward or a branch we would be in. We didn't know whether it would be Korean speaking or English or any of that really. And so one of the things is we are in a English speaking branch. Right before that, there's a large Korean ward that only speaks Korean. And so they meet first so that they can share primaries, because our branch normally has no children. And so our children actually get to go to the Korean-speaking primary, which we think is awesome. But the branch we're in itself is pretty small. And so a lot of those are, our branch president works for Samsung, and then a lot of the congregation either are students at the global campus where I will be teaching, or some of the faculty and teachers. Yeah. And so when we chose to have the twins baptized, they actually said it was lucky because the week after that there would be like 2 people.
Yeah. Well, and we just really didn't think anybody was going to come anyway. We didn't know anybody. They were all very supportive and very friendly, but we just didn't think that it would be, important to them to come. But we ended up having quite a few members. I counted almost 20, and it was just really exciting. It was really fun for them. So the day kind of went, we got ready to go. We brought all of their things with us to the church. We were actually a little bit late, but technically you can't really be late for your own event. So we got there, and there was a big crowd. We really, again, like I said, we didn't really plan on anybody coming. So it was kind of the Diapers on a Plane family show, and we gave all the talks, and the twins actually worked all week long practicing I Am a Child of God on their violin and their guitar. Pi already knew it, so we just had to find the music for Widmore, and he just practiced his little heart out, and it was so cute.
Yeah. And that wasn't always planned, but we purposely brought the violin and the guitar so that they wouldn't get too behind on their music lessons while they were here. So that worked out really well. Yeah,
so it was darling. You can see it on our blog if you are so inclined to go check it out. But it was a lot of fun, and it went well, and it was really special for them, and they had a great experience at the end of it. We had some grapes and some cookies that we went and got from Costco.
Yeah, I took a big trip to Costco beforehand, and I went alone. And one of our neighbors here in the apartment gave me a trolley to carry stuff in, and I bought about twice
what it would hold.
What it would hold. So I had to run back into Costco, buy one of the big shoulder bags, and that was quite a trek home with all that food.
So that was obviously the big ticket item. It was really important to us. It was really special. In all our intros, you saw that it really made an impact on all of us, and that was definitely our highlight of the week. But there were a couple other things that we did. One thing we did actually was the week before in week 2, but we forgot to mention it. But that was visiting a market. It's the big international market in Seoul.
Oh, it was so cool.
And I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's something like Namdaemun.
Namdaemun, I think. Namdaemun.
Yeah.
Namdaemun.
Something like that. A lot of names here end with mun. M-U-N. I don't know why. It's definitely something we need to look into. But
so week 2, we talked about what was that? Bupyeong Underground Market. And so this market made that market look like a little baby market.
Yeah, we were joking, like,
big.
If Bupyeong was a dinosaur, it would be a dinosaur egg.
Yeah. So this one had we mostly hit the above ground.
Yeah.
But it had the streets were just a huge maze of different kind of sections. Each street seemed to be categorized in its own section.
Yeah, so like we got there and we had just happened to walk into the children's area section, which I was just
its own building. was huge.
Oh, there was a building, but there was outside stuff
and
too.
an outside kids section.
And I just we definitely want to go back and
explore.
Well, not just explore, but bring home a bunch of clothes. Like the kid, get all their fall and winter and next spring clothes. Like
and they were
everything was
super
like
cheap.
$5,000 to $10,000
It's like $5 to $10. Yeah,
so cheap. So we were just like street after street after street, and one of the things we wanted to get was a new tie to commemorate the baptism for Gabriel here. And we were just street after street after street. We couldn't find it. We finally asked somebody, in broken English Korean, trying to find ties, and this woman like pointed a million ways this way and then a million ways this way, and Gabriel somehow understood her, and
it was the D building.
We found it.
It was in this building. And so you've got streets lined with vendors selling their wares. Then you've got buildings that are just packed full, and they're everywhere. And then as we were leaving, we found out that there's an entire market underground beneath it all.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. And I'm so excited to go back. One of the big things I was so excited, we discovered the silkworm pupa there.
And they were so stinky. They smell so bad.
And so next week I am going to do a taste test.
Yeah. If you watched or if you kept an eye on our social media channels, you'll see he has already eaten a baby octopus whole. And I guess he loved it.
I'm going to taste it. I'm going to taste everything here except for the spoonworms.
He is going to eat the bugs, and then he's going to eat something alive, which is another big delicacy here in South Korea. So look forward to the bug video when we go back to Seoul. So, but one thing that's interesting to know is when we were finding all the men's ties, they are, and we had a big discussion about this, but they're covered in like glitter, sequins, and like rhinestones.
Oh, and the kid shirts have, the sequins. Like
but
a
just
Batman sequins. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about the ties, like the adult men's ties, which I thought was really interesting.
Oh, I saw this guy on the subway today with he was an older gentleman, but up to like one of the old man pants that kind of goes up to here, bright purple, and then this white shirt. It's awesome.
It's awesome. So, so we found a bunch of that. I mean, everything you could possibly imagine. We did end up getting lunch there. We finally tried the bulgogi, which did not look anything like the picture looked, and it was good. It was really good.
Yeah, Widmer is a big bulgogi fan now.
Yeah,
it actually means like fire grilled or something like that. So it's just beef that's fire grilled.
Thin strips.
I was never sure what bulgogi was, but now I like it. Yeah. It's good.
The Costco here sells bulgogi. What are those things they sell? The bakes. So like the chicken bakes you can get in the States. Bulgogi they have a bulgogi bake here. So.
And I've reaffirmed my love for Costco. After shopping at so many different places here, just going to Costco, they've got a wide variety. It's easy to buy fish and everything.
Yeah. So we will talk more about this market when we go back and actually bring home a bunch of stuff with us. That this market is the reason we brought an extra giant empty suitcase to bring stuff home in.
Yeah, I think next time we'll go. I'll probably take my GoPro and really.
That'd be fun.
Probably keep it on. The time there.
That'd be really fun. Then just do a speed
awesome.
Run through. Oh man, it's
so
huge.
Awesome.
So we only found one. There's a giant gate outside that shows you the entrance, and we found just one of those giant pillars that said Gate 6. I don't know how many gates there are. We'll try and figure it out. But it was phenomenal. It was really awesome. So I'm excited to go back and see what we can find. We didn't try any of the women's section. But we would love to get both boys, Widmore and Gabriel, a custom suit. So they measure you out and they get it all ready for you and they deck it out. And
I wanted to do that everywhere we go.
Yeah.
I've never done it.
Yeah, we wanted to do it in Hong Kong. We wanted to do it in Japan. We're going to do it in Korea.
It's probably something I should research to check on price and stuff.
Before you go, before they rip you off.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a foreigner tax.
Right.
And I've heard people talk about like bartering at these places, but we have yet to do that.
Yeah.
I always figure that the markets that have a set price affixed to what you're buying is just the set price. But when you go to one that has no price on it and they have to tell you the price, that's probably...
Well, what's interesting to me is that you lived for a long time in the Philippines.
Well, the Philippines, everything was haggled.
But now you won't do that anymore. I always feel like we went to Mexico and you didn't want to do it. You were like, oh, it's cheap enough. We'll just do it. So we're going to work on that. We're going to work on that. We also found some cute little carry-on bags. One of the discussions we were having this week was that it was really fun and the kids took a lot of ownership when they had their own carry-on. And now all those carry-ons are now broken, and we would love to get them some new little carry-ons that fit underneath their seat that they can take ownership for, that they can be responsible for, and that give them a little bit of that responsibility when we travel. So
along with the Namdaemun Market, something worth mentioning is we did visit the LDS temple there.
Yes.
So I want to pop a few photos here on this blog.
So if you remember last week, we talked about the Bupyeong Market. And one of the reasons we went to the Bupyeong Market is we needed to find a baptism dress for Pai. And we found the perfect one that we loved, but it wasn't white. So we just kind of kept looking and looking and looking. And we wanted to make sure we crossed the temple off because surely they would have baptism dresses there. But they did not. They had virtually nothing in their distribution store. So just a point of reference, point to note, there were even hardly anything there. So
yep. So to move along, the other really big thing we had, event we had last week was Lotte World.
Lotte World.
I don't know.
Lotte.
Lots of worlds. But with Lotte World, like any candy, a lot of the food you buy here will all say Lotte on it. It's huge. They have the Lotte Marts we talked about. And they also have a big, giant amusement park.
It is the largest indoor amusement park in the world.
And it's no joke.
Yeah.
It's huge.
It was hot and humid. And so we made a couple mistakes. We wanted to go to Lotte World.
Made a big mistake.
Before classes started because we wanted to be able to spend the whole day there. The day that we chose ended up being a public holiday in Korea. So the place was packed. It was insanely busy, which meant it was also insanely hot because it's an indoor theme park. There is an outdoor section, but what happened that day?
What happened that day?
It was raining.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody was inside instead of being outside. Yeah. And Gabe did take the kids outside for a little bit, but a lot of the rides were closed because it was raining.
Well, they were closed and they couldn't ride them. They weren't tall enough.
Yeah. So, comparing Lotte World to Everland, Lotte World is definitely geared more towards a younger crowd. Most of the rides the kids could ride. There is one called the French Revolution. It's a roller coaster. I have no idea why it's named that. And it goes around the whole indoor park, and it looked amazing. It looked really fun. The twins were not quite tall enough to ride that one. And the line at no point during the day was less than 3 hours.
It was crazy. What I did love about Lotte World, though, was how compact it was. So it was easy. And
it had levels.
Everland is a lot of hiking.
Yeah.
And going over hills, and it's all outdoors. Lotte World was just like you could kind of cruise around the whole thing, and it was huge.
Lotte World,
and even then it was a holiday. But I also felt like they had more character, and more parades, charm. Like when we first stepped into the place, they had a Disney-esque parade going on with really flamboyant characters. It was super fun, and they had that going on the whole time.
Well, and so basically in Lotte World, they had this mall. I don't know what came first, but they had this mall, this Lotte World mall, and they were like, let's put an amusement park in it. I mean, it's just insane. Like, it's insane. It's not
even its own thing. Yeah, the mall is like around one side.
Around it, yeah.
Lotte World is just a part of it.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, there's an ice skating rink. There are hot air balloons that run on a track around the ceiling. Like we said, there's a roller coaster. There's a monorail. There is a carousel. There's this underground ride that's kind of like a mix between Disney's Soarin' and the new Avatar ride in Pandora. There is a whole kids under the sea area that's got like for little kids. They've got 3 bumper car rinks in there. There's teacups that spin, that not only spin like flat, but then the whatever you call it ends up tilting upwards, and I literally couldn't walk for like 5 minutes after that.
Well, and even then, as massive as that is, across the street as you're approaching it, there's the Lotte Tower, which is just this massive glass pretentious skyscraper that just...
It looks like an alien
just goes up to the heavens, right?
Yeah.
And makes Lotte World look like a bean.
Yeah.
And I guess you can get tickets to go up to the top of that skyscraper and view the top of it. We didn't do that, but I think it would be fun to go do.
Yeah.
We were kind of pressed for time.
Yeah.
We had a disastrous morning.
Oh,
It was everything I could do to keep Catherine from going back home. So we woke up later than we expected.
Well, again, Molasses wasn't sleeping. She didn't sleep that night, like, at all.
Yeah, and so we were up most of the night, and so we kind of slept in. And taking a taxi there is kind of spendy. And so you can take the subway for like a tenth or a fifth of the price for the family.
Yeah.
And so I made the horrible mistake of taking the subway, which is supposed to take like an hour and a half to 2 hours. And it took 3 hours. And after the second hour, Catherine was just ready to strangle me. And so I had to convince her to
Well, you did not convince me, and I did not carry on. The only reason I came was to prove you wrong. Because it's like, it's not accurate. It doesn't really tell you how long it takes. So the difference is, when we went to Hong Kong, we would look up the map routes, and they would always be a third of the time it would tell you. So it would tell you it would take an hour. It would really only take 20 minutes. So like this awesome, it's like the thing you always wish would happen at home. Like, you look up the map to get somewhere and it's like 20 minutes and you're like, it'll take 10, you know? It never happens. In Hong Kong, that happened. So we always have this like hope in these foreign countries that the maps will be inaccurate. But let me tell you, in Korea, it works the opposite way. So it will tell you however long it's going to take, and then it will take even longer. So it's been 3 weeks. We're going to Lotte World, and this guy hasn't figured it out yet.
So in all fairness, we are traveling with kids as well, and they have to go potty mid-trip. So we actually had to stop, and get off the subway. And if you stop at a non-major destination, they have restrooms outside of the check-in.
So you have to scan out, scan back in. Oh, it's such a nightmare.
And then you have to wait again. And then they have two types of trains. One that is a fast train, which skips a lot of the stops, and then one that stops at every stop. So we had to get out, let the kids go potty, and then the next train we got in was one of the stop at every stop. So I think part of the reason why it tells you a faster or slower time is if you take the faster trains.
It's just wrong. It's just wrong. All those things may be applicable, but it's just wrong. So it says it's going to take an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours. We are at our second transfer. We still have one more train to take. It's already been over 2 hours, and Gabriel says it's just 30 more minutes. And that's when I was like, "Oh, I'll come, but just to prove you wrong." So that's what happened. And then I set my timer, and it was another hour and 9 minutes until we reached the entrance to Lotte World.
But I got you on the train.
Oh my gosh.
And so Lotte World, I don't think she talked to me for the next 2 hours.
Okay, so...
And so then everyone was getting hungry, and so what finally brought the family back together? So I will admit, Subway, his fault. Continuing, the fighting, my fault. And then TGI Fridays brought us together. Good old
So
those barbecue ribs.
This podcast is brought to you by TGI Fridays.
They did not pay us. Lotte World has
3. Oh, so that was another fiasco. So he's on a ride with the kids, and I'm off with Molasses, and he's like, meet us at TGI Fridays. So there's this one that's right by an elevator, but the elevator doesn't stop at the TGI Fridays. So I'm up and down this elevator, getting off, trying to figure it out. She's asleep in the stroller for the first time ever. I usually have to hold her and she's asleep. I don't want to wake her up. I'm up and down this elevator, trying to find this place. And Gabriel texts me and he's like, just meet us here. And I'm like, just eat without me.
I told you it was near the carousel.
So was this one. Oh, stop it. It was too.
Anyway, so here's something I'd like to bring up too. Family travel isn't always pretty.
We've been married for a long time.
One of the biggest mistakes we make constantly is putting off eating.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And so inevitably we start bickering and arguing and yelling at each other, and then we'll eat and we'll be like, oh,
that wasn't that big
why
of a deal.
were we fighting?
Yeah.
angry
Yeah.
hunger is a real thing.
Yeah. And we know it, but we don't know it in the moment.
Right. And so part of the problem, like when you're traveling too, you're like, no, I have to find the perfect place to eat.
Right.
And so,
well, especially because when you're going to a theme park, you're like, I want to try all these places to eat.
yeah.
So, and Gabriel had given me a few dollars, which I don't mean like he'd like given me an allowance.
It was her allowance.
I just mean, he just usually keeps the money because I am notoriously forgetful.
Well, she doesn't like to carry a wallet around.
Yeah.
Well, she will leave it.
And I will lose it. I have lost it. I've lost my cell phone already on this trip.
On this trip, I had to run back about a mile.
It was not that far.
It was like a mile.
Anyway, so
to
that's
retrieve
why.
her cell phone.
But I did have some money, and I had gotten myself an ice cream, and there was a brief moment when I wasn't quite so mad at him. But then he sent me a text and said he was going on another ride, and then it spurred off.
So a little
again.
trip when traveling with kids,
Eat.
and to keep them happy, right?
Yeah.
Frequent snack. Either just sit down in a place, whether it's not the perfect place or not, just eat.
Yeah.
Or snacks, lots of snacks.
So a couple other little side notes about Lotte World. So fun. They make cotton candy there, but it's not just a ball of cotton candy. It is a teddy bear cotton candy. Or it is a bunny rabbit cotton candy. It's got different colored ears or a different colored nose. They put little sticker eyes and a mouth on it. It's so fun. So they've got a lot of little touches like that are just super fun. The characters, they come around and they visit you and they talk to you, and that's super fun. They have pigs that can dance. They may not be able to fly, but they can dance.
Well, they've got Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland, like all the
non-trademarked
Yep.
characters.
There
So
are probably some trademarked ones too.
yeah,
But
so it's really fun. I would love to go back if it wasn't a holiday and it wasn't quite so cramped, and maybe on a warmer day where more people are outside. But honestly, I really think if it was down to Everland or Lotte World, at least for the dynamic of our family, I would go with Lotte World.
I would go with Lotte World. If our kids were like 12 and above, I would go to Everland.
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
However, a woman on the train ride to Lotte World told me it's always busy. So I don't know the validity of that.
Yeah. So.
But I would recommend too, for any foreigners going there, we found a couple different apps we'll share on the blog.
Yeah.
But
to get discount tickets.
Klook, the one I used was called Voyagin.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I used that over the one we'd used for Everland is that the one we bought, Trazy, the one we used for Everland, which was awesome too, is like 40% off, is that Voyagin allowed me to buy them the same day. And it was super easy, just buy them online, and so it ends up being like $20 a ticket instead of $40.
Yeah.
And you just scan the barcode on your phone and they send you right in. It's super easy.
Another thing to note is the internet, not our website of course, but the internet says that you have to pay for babies to get into Lotte World, which is not accurate at all. Children under 3 are not charged to get in, so you do not have to pay for them.
Correct.
All right, so I think that about wraps it up.
That about wraps it up. The other thing was the seafood buffet.
Oh,
it was so good. So Pi and Widmore wanted to choose where they ate for their baptism dinner.
And they didn't decide on the same place, so we had to split it up between 2 nights, 2 different kids. When you have twins, you do a lot of things twice. And so there was a big fiasco about deciding who got to choose on which night. We ended up doing rock, paper, scissors. And Pi hates to lose, but she did end up losing in this instance, and there were a lot of tears. She chose Shake Shack. So she's never been to Shake Shack, but she loves milkshakes, and she loves hamburgers. And hot dogs. And she knew that Shake Shack had all those things. So she got all of them. She got a milkshake, she got a hamburger, and she got a hot dog. She didn't finish all of it, but she felt very satisfied, and I think she felt like... So she was able to order all the things that she wanted to, and I think she felt really special about that.
But the fun part was then Widmore really wanted crab and meat. He's a carnivore for sure.
Well, after his favorite place to eat at Disney World, which we have been to, a million times, is Cape May, which is the seafood buffet at the Beaches Resort. So we went there for his 7th birthday, actually, and he just ate crabs and crabs and crabs. And so ever since then, he's obsessed with crabs, the big king crab legs, and he loves them, and they're his favorite thing to eat. So that is what he wanted. He'd been telling us for weeks that's what he wanted to eat. on his baptism
And
day.
so he had a place picked out above Triple Street that had a big picture of a crab on it and pictures of the food with crab, which obviously was crab. And it was like every picture I could tell was red, which means it
Spicy.
was spicy, fiery, hot. And it wasn't like king crab legs like he liked. It was like it was like more like actual whole crabs cut in half. And we were nervous about eating there. And so we happened upon this seafood market buffet above Home Plus.
Yeah, the Home Plus Mall.
And holy cow, was it the best place I've eaten here. It was so good.
So like buffets in America are kind of like not necessarily the best quality food.
Cafeterias.
Yeah. But here, like, they were replacing the food, whether it was eaten or not, like on a time schedule.
It was all small portions.
Yeah.
If there was like a drip on one of the plates, someone ran out to like rub it off.
They had bunch of like juice that was in punch bowls that you got out with a ladle. Like, it was just like high class. It was just fancy.
Yeah, and it was kind of expensive, but not.
It wasn't too bad.
Actually, wasn't that much more than Shake Shack.
No, it was like $36 per adult.
Yeah,
a little bit less than that,
which is a lot. But it's like Tucanos.
Yeah, that's what my point. Yeah,
but they had a steak section where you could order a steak and then come back 4 minutes later.
Yeah. They cooked the steak like to order. It wasn't just like like steak.
And they had all the crab legs Widmore could eat.
Oh yeah.
So he had his little scissors and he was cutting up open crab legs the whole time. He was in heaven.
He ate steak and crab. Yep. That's what he ate.
The sushi was amazing.
Yeah, they had fresh sushi chefs, like they're making it. They had nigiri, and then they had rolls, and they had all sorts of different types of rice, and they had different types of salad, and they had this whole tempura section. It was awesome. And
they had all the octopus and just holy cow.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, it was amazing.
We'll be back there.
We'll definitely go back. Yeah. So that was a great week. Just a couple other little things we did. The girls and I got our nails done. That was incredibly expensive, but we feel like we participated in a lot of the Korean self-care rituals we've done.
It's like the cost of a buffet.
Oh, it was unreal.
So they had ripped off.
I think we got the foreigner price because they had all these prices listed, and all they did was cut and paint our nails. And I was sure that we would get the lowest price, but she charged us like the medium price. She charged the same price for the little girls as she did for me, so I was pretty mad when we left. But there's definitely a culture barrier and a language barrier, and I did not feel like I was in a position to argue about the price. Even though I'm sure it would have come across through translation. Yeah. But anyway. And then, is there anything else on our list?
I think that's about it.
All right. So we started our time on Jeju Island, but we will wrap that up in next week's podcast. But definitely look forward to that because that was an amazing adventure. It was kind of a vacation from our work vacation. And it was really cool. We found some awesome cheap flights we're going to tell you about, something you can take advantage of, and all the things that we did as a family on Jeju Island.
So thank you so much for sticking around, listening to week 3 of our Korean adventure. We are glad you're listening. Listen to some more of our videos. We're on YouTube as well as your favorite podcast station.
You can also find us on all the social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we would love to chat with you there as well.
And check out the blog at diapersonaplane.com. Catherine's busy updating every day, which is part of the reason for these big bags under her eyes, along with the baby that's keeping her up 24/7.
It's a labor of love.
Or unlove.
All right. Nice to see you. Have a great night.
See you week 4.
Your favorite thing is
Week 3 of being in Korea.
was getting
Our baptism.
Yep.
You want to talk first?
Yes. Now look at the game. I felt excited and joyful, and I felt like Jesus calmed the waters, and I felt warm and happy at the end. And I thought it was such a great experience to be baptized in Korea. We were the second and third people to be baptized in the ward. Wanna go what? Oh, okay. I'll talk. After I got baptized, I'm still thinking about it.
Okay.
Wait, no, I'm not. After I got baptized, I felt like I was happier and happy and happy, happy. And I felt joyful. And the water was super, super, super soft and warm. And kind of like a hottish warm. Yeah. Have you anything to say, Pie? Do you? It was a good experience. Okay, do you have anything else? Oh, wait. What we ate at my after I got baptized was a calf. Okay, well, thank you.
And
we
there was crab. And
okay,
I ate
well,
a bunch
we ate I ate at the Shake Shack, and when I went
the day
underwater, I
before
was
we
like,
got baptized.
and then no. First he said a prayer, and then it was like, and then when I was all covered, it lifted me right up. Okay, and this is how it happened when I was baptized. First, he said a prayer, and I was holding onto his arm. Then he puts it underwater. Then I'm like, wait. Okay, Charlie. Oh, yeah. How do you do it? Fantastic. No, I hold your arm, don't I? Oh, yeah. I have fantastic priesthood to baptize. Wait, no, I'm baptizing you. And, okay, let's just do this. Okay, hold it on to me. And you're gonna... And it went like this. He said a prayer and then... And then the water felt soft and I felt happier. Now I'm gonna do it. This is how I felt. With the unprecedented priest that I baptized. It felt joyful and warm. And it was the best experience of being baptized I had ever thought it would be. We are diapers on a plane. Are you ready to learn all of it?
I know what this is.
No, you don't say all of it. Are you ready to learn all about week 3 of being in Korea? We are diapers on a plane.
You guys did great.